Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're gonna talk about ChatGPT. This puppy is making some serious noise. So what exactly is this? Is basically a baby of a company made from Sam Altman. He's the CEO, and Elon Musk is a basically founding supporter sort of thing. And this puppy started on 11 December 2015. So quite a bit old, and the idea was they're gonna build some AI and research tools also, and they have two sectors inside them. Ask anyone corporate enough to explain how the heck it can be for profit and also has a non-profit. Basically they want to make tools, sell those tools, but they do want those tools ideas to be kind of open to so people can understand it, what the hell is happening. It's a bit complicated and it needs money for computation. Be mindful, data collection is kind of easy, and even the data that you're going to gather is not going to be very huge, but the moment you have to come to compute that puppy, basically crunch that numbers, at that point in time you're going to need serious amount of money for serious amount of power. Now that power is not just like okay megawatts from a generator. That power has to go to a supercomputer to crunch that puppy. So it does need some deep pocket to really make it useful. Data we already have, we sorted that data part out. Now what we haven't sorted is how the heck you're going to crunch the data and make it into a useful output, so to say. So this is what we are talking about here. So achievement of this chatbot, so to say, is so high is simply because of few core elements. Core element number one is that it has reading comprehension. What does that mean? That simply means, in simplest term, it is extracting the essence of what are you asking or what are you implying. It can understand that. Basically, it's not just like A, B, C. It's not reading alphabets, nor is reading words. It's actually extracting the whole sentence and then grinding the essence out of it. So it's like, many times people say, nah, like I can read, but I cannot make sense of it. Especially it will happen to you if you are learning a new language or third language or fourth language. It takes some time for you to like go from, okay, I'm understanding the words, then to actually grasp what's the meaning, what's the essence of it. So this puppy has that reading comprehension, and it also has context awareness. Now context awareness, I'll give you a simple example. Back in the old days, when Siri just came out and Google just released their AI, both of them like voice-based AI, if you had asked Siri, who is the president of the United States, they're going to give you an answer. Okay, take that answer. Here's the deal. If you ask Siri, right after that question, it's like, how tall is he? Siri has no idea. It's like, how tall is the prompt will, how tall is who? Because like again, it figured out what you want to ask, but it had no context. But if you did that with Google back in the days, nowadays both of them should be same. If you did that with Google, it had context awareness. So meaning, it will remember the last question and it's like, okay, what did that person ask? It's like, ask me who is the president. I replied this answer. So this answer, I'm gonna put that into quote unquote RAM and be like, okay, you are asking how tall is he? I'm gonna use this person as a good guess. Context awareness, basically what we are talking about here. Meaning, if you're talking about like, hey, this place to that place, like I traveled and train took time. So like, how long was your train? It will not simply say, oh, you should only take 5 hours, because it searched flight tickets basically. So it has to have some context awareness. It has that, and it also has memory. Now this is a very critical aspect, because you have to understand all these three AIs. You have Alexa, you have basically Google and Siri. All of them were trying to sell things. For example, Google was like, okay, I'm competing against Apple. Apple was like, I'm just trying to make Apple cool. Alexa was specifically made to sell more products through Amazon to increase its yield. Amazon failed horribly on that department, and it's like it's not making enough money back for it to justify its own existence. And that's why like you will hear things about like they are toning down the R&D team on Alexa, because again, Alexa is expensive thing, not the data, but the crunching part consumes insane amount of energy. They are not making their money back. Apple also the same thing. They cannot make Siri into a what you call per month payment. Google cannot afford to shut it down simply because it's like Apple has it. So all these three have serious limitation. That's why the memory component, even though it can be done, they are not doing it simply because cost will go exponentially high, because it has to store more and more data into its hard drive or RAM. So context awareness plus memory, all these three in combined, the reading comprehension, the context awareness, and the fact that it can retain what you are talking to it, it gives it a feel. Now, fundamentally, the output that comes out of it has what we call human feel, because it retains all these three things. So if you're talking it emotionally, it's going to respond emotionally. If you're talking a very logical, like scientific kind of thing, it's going to talk like a teacher. Like, here is a possible implementation of a function that predicts a seniority based on race and gender. It's like very technical. If you are talking technically, it's like, I understand it. We're going to talk technical. If you want to talk emotional, it's going to talk emotional. If you want to like robotic, it's going to talk robotic. So it has that human feel to it, where you're like, if you're talking to long enough, you will forget that you are actually chatting to a bot, not basically, you know, basically just line of codes. You will literally forget that you are talking to line of codes at this point in time. So you can talk and ask it, because it can extract what you are talking, and it's going to solve your problem. Basically, that's the whole point. The Python function to predict seniority based on this and this, it wrote that. It's like, okay, I understood what you're asking. I'm going to extract it, then I'm going to retain it, and then you keep asking for function, because it's going to put all that into memory. It's going to keep solving it again and again. So it has very good accuracy and speed. Now be mindful, it's not perfect, and for professional use, it's not there yet, but it's damn good. And for first try, that first time publics are getting access to this sort of technology, it's like, are you serious that we have this? And yes, it's available to public, and that's the come to the for non-profit kind of part. That's why it's available to public. So achievement is mind-boggling. Then we come to the core aspect. How the heck it made AI that is this level advanced? Well, it started with a huge data set. Nowadays, that's the easy part. And who has the biggest data set? Google. Second only is these and all that. But again, data set is not a big deal nowadays. Most people have big data set. Then we figured out how do you train neural networks on it. So they use two systems working with each other. You have supervised and reinforcement. Apparently, if you use one of them, again, it will still work, but it will consume too much time, or it will consume too much computation. Both of them gives a better result, but does require far more compute horsepower on your end. Basically, like the people who are programming, they have to be a bit wise about it. Reinforcement learning is kind of easy. Supervised learning is kind of tedious. Like, but mix both of them, then you can get something very amazing for very large data set. But it does require your programmer team to be really good when they are coding the nodes. And on top of that, so far these sort of thing is not new. This sort of thing has been done, but every time it always lacked that human touch, as we say. So somebody figured out, what if we inject another vector, human training, to improve the model's performance? Meaning, we can figure out as like, hey, the AI is going this, then it's reaching the target. Where like, go here directly. So human training to improve the model allowed this system to become efficient enough where it can actually run as a search query. Otherwise, it would have been like, okay, one search is going on, processing in the server, second question, not like millions of people handling it at once. So human training also gave it that human touch. We are basically understand AI in this way. It's a brain that we are teaching. And we are teaching from human, not teaching from itself. Basically, how all other AIs works, like, reinforcement training, supervised training, it's other AI that's doing it. Here, there was a human touch, so it has that human feel to it. And where did you did all this computation? Because this puppy is going to be expensive. It was done in Azure supercomputing infrastructure. It consumed power like there is no tomorrow. Be mindful when people are saying, oh, the data set is only 100 gigabyte or somewhere around that. That's the easy part. The hard part is crunching that. So basically, it has like Epic processors and NVIDIA A100 series GPUs to crunch that. And ChatGPT also has this extra layer now that is active, is that the user can also give it feedback. Now be mindful, million plus people giving it feedback, that's mind-boggling. That's going to improve this system, because it also has memory, exponentially. If they're actually allowing the core code to be rewritten, to be re-optimized, in months from now, as in like as early as like let's say March, it will be unrecognizably good. So we had GPT-3. It went through the infrastructure GPT, then ChatGPT was created. And be mindful, they had to work extra hard, not for the AI base. AI is easy. It's the safety layer. Now, safety layer is there simply because you can ask it illegal problems to solve, and it's going to solve it. It's like you can ask it how to make, it's going to solve it. If you ask it how to hack something, it's going to do it. Even though it's illegal, it does not have the wisdom. You cannot teach wisdom simply because we don't know ourselves what wisdom is. So there was a rule book, so to say, was written for this puppy, where it's like, okay, don't, if somebody is asking in this category, don't answer it. People figured out that this is an actual AI, so they figured out, taught the AI to bypass it. And that was the first few days. That's how everybody was talking about, like how to bypass the system. Again, they patched it, but be mindful, they are trying to patch a organic thing. Basically, it's like trying your kid not to swear is kind of difficult, and that's why the safety layer is very difficult. Now, safety layer is kind of important because Microsoft back in the day, they actually did try to create a bot, but people messed it up. And again, Facebook also tried it up, people messed it up. So they are like, taking some precaution. And not to mention, there could be some serious litigation, because given how good this puppy is and how wide ranging is, given the fact that it can write code and just write something that allows you to just bypass bank security. And yes, people actually did that. So that safety layer is very important. And be mindful, right now, I don't think they're worried about AI, they are worried about that security layer not holding up. Be mindful, many times people have cracked through it. So they are reinforcing that puppy more than they are reinforcing the core AI. So all this combined made this AI on a whole different level. So why the heck? Why the heck this tool was built? Be mindful, Alexa was built for, selling more Amazon services. It failed. Siri was made for Apple to become far more competitive and far more sexy. It did work on that, and Google made it so they do not become obsolete. Okay, why the heck Microsoft is spending so much money? Well, reality is Microsoft is no longer sexy. Nobody remembers Microsoft fondly anymore, and nobody even talks about Microsoft. It's like we talk about FANG companies, and only then somebody's mentioning Microsoft. We don't talk about Amazon Web Services. We talk about Netflix, we talk about Facebook, Meta, we talk about Google and all that, Alphabet, but we rarely talk about Microsoft. So Microsoft is no longer sexy, and it does show in their stocks. Like, it was going up, now it's almost going down, and they are kind of aware that they have lost all markets. They tried to jump into device market, they failed horribly. They tried to make good operating system, they failed horribly. They tried to jump into server market, they failed horribly. How many times you can fail before you're like, you know what, you are a failed company? So fundamentally, they needed something that gives them an advantage, exponential advantage compared to all of their opponents, like basically Apple, Google, all that jazz. So if they reach next generation of ChatGPT, this would allow them to dethrone Google, because they did try to build Bing. It does work, but it's nowhere near as good as Google, nor it's used. And again, the less people use it, the less good it becomes, because again, you need data, you need user interaction to refine it. Google has that advantage. So fundamentally, it's undethronable until now. Now they have an intellect that is crunching through it. And again, be mindful, imagine this puppy working on 100 GB data. It's good. Imagine it working on 1 terabytes of data. Imagine working on live data feedback. It's gonna be damn good. At that point in time, they truly have a tool that can just bitch slap Google out of existence. Google is solely popular simply because of their basically search engine characteristic and YouTube. So dethroning Google, like, again, no matter how much money that takes, it would be chump change how much money they're gonna make once it succeeds. So it's like, shut up and take my money, shut up and take my supercomputer. So that's why doing. Another aspect is, you have to understand, Microsoft is dealing on a coding level on a whole aspect, basically, that no other company can think. Because here's the deal, people say, oh, Apple is so well optimized, Apple is so smooth and all that. It's like, it should be. Like, you can count how many ICs they have active at any year. It's not that many, and they control the whole device chain, and they charge boatload of money. It should be good. Why Android is not as smooth? Again, just count how many hardwares they have, like how many ICs they have, like how many basically processors they have to deal, and how many RAM variants on those things they have. It's exponentially higher than what Apple has to put off. So of course Google will not be as smooth. Now here's the deal, take that number, multiply that with few thousand, that's Microsoft layer, where they have to deal with per year. Let me explain this puppy. Per year, what Google deals with is like few microprocessors from some companies. Let's say Qualcomm will release something, Exynos will release something. They will have like these two things, and some other brands also. What will Microsoft try to deal with? Intel releasing multiple CPUs, AMD releasing multiple CPUs, ARM, which is releasing other multiple CPUs, and here's the CPU itself. By the time you go into phone, you get a full package. By the time you come to Microsoft, you don't get full package, you get just CPU. Okay, you also have to figure out motherboard. It's like, motherboard is the same. No, all motherboards have different chipset. So each CPU plus the chipset, now plus the RAM variant. RAM different speed, different supplier, and it does not have the same luxury of like, in mobile phone, majority of the RAMs is from this brand or this brand. Done, go home. Here it's like, it's truly could be 5 different brands, and I'm talking like chip level. So fundamentally could be different clock cycle working on different voltage, all of that. And that's just like CPU, RAM, and motherboard. Let's talk about storage. That could also be like completely different. It could be low grade SATA SSD to extreme high grade PCI 4.0 NVMe system that is working at like gigabytes per second. and it has to work all of that. So fundamentally, it is difficult from Amazon's, basically Microsoft's point of view to actually make it, the product work. It's a miracle that it's working, but it's breaking. At this point in time, people are seeing that. Microsoft does not want basically this reputation, but it is the fact of the matter. So if they really make this AI tool good enough, competent enough in programming, now here's the programming have layers to it, meaning you have bulk programming, then you fine tune the program, then you run it. And that's how you do it. Like while majority of the coders are bulk coders, then you have like fine tune coders. Again, if I had like a programmer in my live stream, then I'll share the technical terms for that, but that's how it works. It's like you have crunch work, final work, then you put it, cook it and test it and do all that jazz. Here's the deal. What if you can just poof all this giant amount of grunt work, basically. All the grunt work will be done by AI. And here's the, when the AI will get feedback from a senior layer, basically senior programmers or full stack developers, it's gonna learn that. Now whole stack is getting improved. Now the next generation, even better. Do that 2 years continuously, and you will have a point where the bulk data that is created, that is smooth. It's gonna like, bro, put this operating system and it's gonna be butter. Like it can truly reach to a point where they can like bitch slap Apple out of existence, where they're like, bro, you're good, we better. So fundamentally, look from that point, Microsoft is spending chump change to print billions of dollars into the future. So they are spending money. You want supercomputer, you get supercomputer. You want more supercomputer, you get more supercomputer. That's why they are not holding back. They're like, dude, oh, it started to crash our servers. Hyperscaler, go. It started to crash again. Hyperscaler, go, vroom, vroom. It started to crash again. Put more. They are not holding back, and there is a very good reason for that. Once they have that feedback loop, once they really make it good enough where it can bitch slap Google search engine, which right now it already does, and which it can be able to do, like in terms of software, like even if it can just replace the bulk coding, just good enough to replace the bulk coders, it can just like crunch, like it can print money. It is like serious money making risk that Microsoft is taking. Now then we come to the dark side. I've already talked about that AI is one of the serious threats. Yeah, is it above nukes? Hell no, no, no. Is it serious threat? Yes. Why? Well, here's the global warming is a problem that we can solve. It's a technical problem, and the reason we have not solved it is like we want magical solution. Do this and solve all problem. That's not how it's gonna work. We messed it up by multiple small steps. We have to fix it by multiple small steps. But it can be done. Science is there, technology is there, implementation is the missing part, and we are slowly increasing on that part. So that part is sorted. This is unsolvable because here's the deal. Who do you trust in the world of AI? Videos can be made, edited, so like heck. Whole video can be rendered out of AI, out of thin ass. It's like, poof, video. Who do you trust? Like recently, a lot of artists complained about AI creating art, and people don't get it. It's like why they are so mad. Here's the deal. Their art was used to train them. Basically, they became teacher without consent. They did not get their money's worth. They are like, dude, I am literally training my replacement without even getting paid for it. That's why they were so mad. And not to mention, the better the AI gets, the more people use it, exponentially it gets better. And at some point, it reaches a point where they're like, bro, why the heck I would pay any artist? Like for logos, for stuff, like those are very niche. But nowadays, it's scary how good they are. Now you are wiping out a whole sector of artists, poof. Like unless your name itself carries brand value, you're not gonna be employed. And here's the deal. People have to do grunt work, only then they climb up the ladder. You just poof the bottom ladder. And that's what I keep talking about AI. AI is dangerous not because it's like it's going to be better than human. It's dangerous because it's going to be better than the most of us. Like it does not need to be Einstein. It just needs to be better than, let's say, 70% of us. What the hell that 70% of population will do? That's the horrifying part. Like it's going to poof out, let's say, 90,000 artists and replace that job with 10,000 programmer. What the hell those artists are going to do? That's the thing. And yeah, some artists will always have, of course they will do. But here's the deal. You unnecessarily wiped out that many jobs. Now, companies also try to do that with music, but be mindful. This is one good news of music industry is that because of these programmers, they have so much power over the artist. They also have very good power over copyright. So even if they try to send the basically copyrighted music into the AI, companies were like, no, bro, no. This is one good thing they did. Right? It's like, no, bro. That's why the music AI is not such a big thing at this point. They have to train it on royalty-free music, and which is inherently good, but not great, not that soul-touching. So once that soul-touching, again, copyright is the only thing that is protecting us. That soul-touching happens on that, even music will be lost. So whole creative sectors would be poofed out of existence, and we will have nothing to replace it with. And programmers, bulk programmers gone poof. Senior programmer, they're gonna make more money. Here's the deal. How the heck there will be next generation of senior programmer? And be mindful, every senior programmer that is working today using these tools, they are literally polishing their own replacement. They're like, oh, my replacement doesn't have this issue. It's like, it's so dumb. It forget, like, have to put double equals rather than one equal and one greater sign. It's like, duh. It's like, and next time it's like, oh, it does not have that issue. Oh, it has this issue. Every issue, and be mindful, it can be trained to each other also. Like, so that's the like, who do you trust? And be mindful, the reason why you inherently trust another human is that we have fear and ethics. That's based on survival. Now, ethics is also part that you may say, oh, nature, survival of the fittest. No. Survival of the fittest is only good for one individual. The moment you are talking about collectives, there is a natural balance into things. For example, like, why the heck cuckoo birds only, like, why the heck cuckoo birds exist? If it was like able to successfully knock out all the eggs of the system, it will perish because there will not be any next generation that can create the nest. So there's always a balance in nature, like carnivorous, herbivores, there is always a balance in nature. Like nature creates that. Who the heck is creating that balance in this server things? It's not gonna have inherent understanding of, it's like, oh, I'm consuming 10 gigawatts of power, I'm gonna consume a bit more power. It's like, bro, people just gonna plug more power wire there, put more solar panels there. It's like, it inherently does not have that. So you're like, we can code it, it won't be as good. Like in our case, like the fear and ethics aspect of it, the emotional aspect, it's hardwired on a DNA level. Basically, in this, it would be like every IC has that, like in instruction set architecture level. It's not gonna do that. So we are polishing our own replacement. And toppers, next generation of toppers, the people who are going into coding schools now, they could literally be the next, this is the best programmer. All that dude is just using, like, very good at using basically GPT. That's the dangerous part of it. Kids are already doing it, and kids are doing it, that's the scary part. And again, you can't stop them. Like if you give them someone easy option, it takes serious amount of courage. It takes serious amount of wisdom to reach a point where it's like, easy route is easy today. It's gonna force me to suffer tomorrow. I have to take the hard route today so I do not suffer tomorrow. That's hard thing, impossible thing to teach a kid. That's why we have discipline. And if you're gonna create this good option, it's like, what's the point of it? And people do ask, like what's the point of learning mathematics? Nobody actually has an answer. And again, that's failure of the teacher. There are so many good answers. They don't know because, again, they're just doing a job. But here's the deal. That job is necessary. If people are employed, people are happy. If people are not employed, they are not happy. So toppers will be just basic AI users. And it will create to a scenario where you have gaps in the knowledge. A programmer today is a really good programmer. Only then it will be a senior programmer. But tomorrow it will be like, yeah, just bug fix. Now, why are you creating something? There are some things inherently you understand. Code is almost like a artwork where you are like, you can make it, it's gonna work, but does it work efficiently enough? Does it work easy enough? Is it easily iteratable? There are so many factors of it. It's like teaching someone to draw versus somebody drawing a masterpiece. Those are two different things. So gaps in the knowledge would be there. Mind rot. Like how the heck we have so much hard time like doing even basic math nowadays, right? We are used to calculators. Now imagine doing that with like whole essays, whole education, whole literature. And that's what I keep saying. AI will replace many jobs and create very few jobs. Otherwise, nobody would use it. So it's literally like robotics goes in, converting word into vectors. Magic happens, converting vector into words. Like, what? And that's how it works right now. And there was only one tool that even has some chance of managing the world afterwards is UBI, Universal Basic Income. And that's not ready. However, closely looking at this ChatGPT, we figured out AI is ready today. And people like, oh, programmer still needs to be there to check it. Yes, deal. They're gonna fire 10 grunt programmers that's gonna become senior programmer tomorrow, but they're gonna take 10 and they're like, poof, AI is creating all of that. And then it's like, it's gonna, senior programmer is just gonna put it. And that's what a programmer said, that I'm gonna use this. You're gonna poof out 10 jobs, have one senior program. Again, senior programmer will get bored more. So they're gonna support it, but here's all they are doing is polishing their own replacement. It is dangerous. Like it is something that like Pandora's box that we are opening without even a single thought of it. It's like, it is scary. It is scary. It is scary. So this was my presentation on ChatGPT. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please hit the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.